What is good, everybody? BGFX here. Welcome back to another video. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. This is going to be a fairly short video. I just want to get on here and break down a trade that I executed on last week for Euro USD. I'm a little bit late with it. I was supposed to post it for the weekend, but I had some things come up. But we're going to go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to throw the entry up on the screen right now. And this was a very clean trade. It was probably one of the most convenient trades I took in a while because it literally came perfectly to the entry and then came perfectly down to the take profit. So this is just one of those convenient setups. This ended up being a trade that I executed on during news. I don't typically enter during news, but I'll explain as we get deeper in the video why news acted as a catalyst for me to actually catch a winning setup. So first thing we're going to do is go into the Telegram channel just so you can see that this isn't any type of hindsight analysis. You can actually see that this is what I wanted to do beforehand. So this was the private community where I send all my thoughts every morning for what I project the markets to do, right? Mostly Euro USD is what I'm trading right now. But basically at 6:19 a.m., I'm going to go to the link and you can see, or 6:18 a.m., you can see that I posted the demand zone, which was the area of interest, and a supply zone up top, which was another area of interest. Now, I did not take the buys, but I did take the sells. So if we come back into the Telegram here, this is just a response to a question that somebody asked me the day before. But I said that I drew the line around the high and low wicks created after that range. We've cleared the low to trade into demand. Now we'll most likely clear the high to trade into supply. And then I'm going to look from sells for there based off of what we see. So when I talk about the range, I'm basically talking about this little range right here. This range was created on Thursday, and then we wicked the low. So we cleared the low, and we created this little fresh swing point, and then we cleared the high and created another fresh swing point. So we basically have what is projected as a weak high and a weak low. And we can see that the low was already taken. The low has already mitigated below these temporary lows here. So I'll come back and draw that out. But you can see that we have like projected weak high, projected weak low. Nothing more than temporary after price sets in the range. So I understand that my most valuable zone is most likely going to be the supply up here, and my most valuable zone is most likely going to be the demand down here. Now I also had this little area here as an area of interest. I was watching a lower time frame. It did not allow me to get into any type of setup. So the only real capitalization I got off of this price action was taking these shorts here. But we can see that these lows here were most likely acting as liquidity. And then, of course, on the 15-minute time frame, you probably don't see anything right here. But if we were to go to the lower time frame, this would probably be some type of order block that price reacted to. So we understand that our low is coming from a place of buy-side control. We're getting that reaction, and we're basically trading up, right? So we're seeing bullish order flow. And then we see more buy-side control from the mitigation of DZ, which basically just means demand zone. So there's buy-side control giving us strength to take out this temporary high. And then when we reach up for the mitigation, this is when I took my sells. So I did take this on a risk account because my personal account, I need lower time frame confirmation. So yeah, you can see that this was just basically a temporary high. The reason being it wasn't really coming from any significant area of interest. So there was no reason for me to try and play intention here. Although, of course, you could have caught some of these moves, maybe some short-term precision-based entries could have had decent risk to reward with it. But you can see that buyers took control to clear up the high. And then that is when we ended up selling off. So if we come over here to the economic calendar, I'm going to go to the 22nd, which was this previous Friday that just passed, and we can take a look at some of the news. So we had a good bit of USD news hitting at around 8:45. There wasn't really anything significant that lined up with news that caught my attention, but I did know that there was the Fed speech, which is always high impact. And now that Fed speech ended up occurring at 10 a.m. Now, if we look at where price delivery was, and I'll just bring price back on the replay tool so we can see, you can see that price delivery was here. So we were stalling near a temporary high. So this was just a clue for me, right, that news was most likely going to spike up and then sell off after the proper mitigation here. Because we have to remember, price was mitigating this supply, but it's also coming from another place of sell side control. Okay, and then also this high here is coming from another place of sell side control. So it was clear who was in control here. So my overall bias was understanding that we're just going to fake out this high, right? Maybe trigger some type of buying buying pressure into the market and then release it the other way. So remember, every buyer needs a seller. If there's not a balance between buyers and seller, if there's not a balance in the market, then the market's going to do something to create balance. So that's why we cleared the high up into the mitigation. And then, of course, it was in alignment with the news. So this was more of like spur in the moment decision, which sometimes could be good, sometimes it could be bad, which is once again why I said I took this on a high risk account. So I ended up taking the shorts right here. And then if we press play, you can see that it was just perfect delivery. So if we go back into the Telegram really quick, I'm going to scroll through some more. And let's go ahead and see. So this is basically what I sent next. Where after I sent the demand zone, you can see that we came down and mitigated that demand. We had some short-term buy side control, and then I also wanted to watch this little supply here, but we really didn't see nothing. I also understood that news was coming soon. It wasn't really worth getting into a position, but this high here, right, as I was projected the high to be ran into the drop, and then if we come to the chart, high ran into the drop, right? So projection played out very nicely. So reaction from 15-minute demand, I sent a couple of hours ago. Nice job to anyone who caught buys from it. Like I said, I personally didn't catch any buys from it because I didn't see that confirmation I wanted to see on a lower time frame. The reason, once again, I didn't need the confirmation here, or I would need it from an actual plan, but the reason I didn't need it for the sake of actually entering it is because I understood that the high impact news could be the catalyst for it, whereas there really wasn't any type of reason for manipulation to go on here. If that makes any type of sense. So yeah, before and then after, and then if we come back, you can see that this was that high impact news, and then just something to be mindful of. So yeah, that was my entry there, and then just basically understanding that news was what gave us the push up. And then within this range, right, you can see that this was now a place of sell side control. This was now a place of buy side control, but this low was cleared, which is now given intention. So once this low is cleared, I'm now asking myself, right, if there is sell side control and we want to come back and clear this low, what's going to be the next possible place that we're going to clear it? It's going to be the next point of supply somewhere. So I'm looking at this zone. I'm also looking at this zone, and I believe price ended up coming up, gave some strength past this area, and then dropped off. But when we did come up and mitigate this area, it was, I believe, sometime near the end of the week, because this was taken on a Friday. So you can see how we begin to basically stall, and you can see that this is the 22nd of October when the market's closed. So just understanding when price moves compared to time, you would know that this was most likely invalid because the markets were closing as this area was being mitigated. So it's more likely we would come up to an area like that. So when it comes to my overall trades, the last trade I executed was here for the 1 to 8, and then before that, my previous video was the 1 to 10. So we have about 18 R total with the last two trades. But by any means, what I'll be doing is just basically looking to replicate this and just look for high risk to reward opportunities, play the intention, and things like that. So I've done a lot to my strategy recently. I've done a lot of perspective switches to just kind of lead to more efficient thinking, more rule-based thinking, but also reasoning behind everything I see. So you can see that all these lows here basically generated liquidity, and then maybe you could view this as liquidity, of course, after the fact, because you would be looking for price to continue up to here or something. And of course, all this delivery has basically already happened because I'm recording this on Wednesday. But that has been it, guys. If you did enjoy, make sure to hit the like button. I just wanted to make the video quick and fairly informative. So just to give a breakdown, we have the high coming from sell side control. We have buyers failing to hold this demand, which makes this low now interesting as a projected area that could be weak. In the midst of that, we have the mitigation. We have liquidity created here just for this mitigation, and then basically the same thing, liquidity created here just for this mitigation. And then if we press play and we bring price to the present, you can see that the liquidity created here led to this mitigation, liquidity created here led to this mitigation, etc. So that has been it, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed. It's been BG. I will catch y'all in the next one.